Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining me this morning. My name is Cristina Banda. I am the Education Coordinator for the Illinois Family Resource Center. Um, Today's presentation is on betting doesn't just affect the player, it's a family affair. My contact information is on the slide. If you have any questions or would like to get a hold of me, you can email me. I am very responsive to emails. The objectives for today's presentation is we'll learn about the services that we offer at the Illinois Family Resource Center. We'll go over some gambling statistics, define what compulsive gambling disorder is. We'll explore some of the signs and symptoms associated with gambling disorders. We'll discuss the impact of a gambling disorder on families, and then we will learn about the help and support available to the families impacted by problem gambling. If it is your first time joining us, the Illinois Family Resource Center, we are a state-funded program. We're a statewide program, so we work across the state. I work primarily in the Cook County area and surrounding counties. Nancy works in the southern part of the state. What we do is we provide information on substance use disorders, mental health, problem gambling, in the form of free webinars on a monthly basis. We attend a lot of conferences with an exhibit table, providing resources to providers, to the general public, to community members, to anyone who wants this information. We also attend a lot of like community events with information on substance use disorder and the impact that it has on entire families. We do not do direct service. We do more resources, giving out resources. We also have a 1 year program. It's called the Circle of Care. I don't know if you are familiar with it. The coordinator for that program is Ambrosia. She is handling that big project, which is a 1 year project. But after the 1 year is over, all the information and all the trainings and all the resources for the Circle of Care will be under the Illinois Family Resource Center website. And then me and Nancy will take on that part of the trainings. Let's see. We provide the services in Spanish and English. We have a website where we do have a lot of free resources, a lot of free information for families, for providers. We have a Facebook page. If you have not followed us, I would encourage you to follow us on Facebook. That's where we post a lot of our upcoming webinars. If we have information from other organizations that's being shared, we like to share that on our Facebook page as well. We provide technical assistance. Like I said, we attend conferences, and then we also we work with organizations if they, like if they email us with a request that they need some resources for the clients or the families that they see, then we help them find those resources. So before we get started, I would like for you to put in the chat, what's one word you would use to describe gambling? March is Problem Gambling Awareness Month, so this is a perfect presentation for this month. What's one word that you would use to describe gambling? Risky, enticing, yes. Debt, selfish, okay. Waste. I can see how it can be wasteful, right? The money, the financial resources that are going towards gambling can be going to other necessities in the household. It can be fun. Yes, responsibly. If you gamble responsibly, it can be fun. Shaming, stressful. Yes, thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Um, Yeah, so it's a lot of things, right? Gambling is a lot of things. It can be fun. It sometimes it's part of our culture. And we grow up with it, so we think it's kind of embedded in us sometimes. Um Sometimes people refer to it as luck, right? It's lucky. If you're lucky, you win. If you're not lucky, you don't win. There's sports gambling. There's now you can gamble online. You don't even have to go outside your house. You can just grab your phone and you can gamble on your phone, which is so much easier now. They make it easier, and gambling advertisements are everywhere, right? So it's become normalized in our society. So that's why a lot of people don't see it as a problem, because it's kind of like a hidden addiction, right? Like there's really no signs unless you are in extreme debt and you start showing signs in that way. There's really no other sign of a problem with a problem gambler. So, what is gambling? Gambling means that you're willing to risk something you value in the hope of getting something of even greater value. So, for example, you go into the casino, right? You have $5. I have $5 to gamble. I hope I win. I triple would be too little money, right? Let's see. I hope I come out with thousands of dollars with these $5 that I'm investing. So you want something in return. That's of greater value. Compulsive gambling, also called a gambling disorder, is the uncontrollable urge to keep gambling despite the toll it takes on your life. That's where you lose control. You think you have to gamble to be able to survive, right? Just like people who have a substance use disorder, they feel like they need that substance to survive. Problem gamblers think they need that gamble event or activity to survive. You can't control your gambling. You need it and you do it all the time. Well, I am just having technology issues. It doesn't want to move on. There we go. So, like I mentioned before, gambling is normalized. We see it everywhere. There's celebrities who you see on TV who are promoting casinos or sports betting. Kids are seeing this. It's everywhere. There's billboards when you're driving around town. You see it, kids see it, so it's everywhere. Increase accessibility, just like I mentioned, on your phone, right? You don't even have to go out. The slot machines are everywhere now. You go out to a restaurant, you're more than likely to find or a few slot machines in the restaurant. Increase social acceptability. People accept it, right? Increased awareness of social responsibility, and increased advertising. It's everywhere. You can't avoid it. You know what it's taking? There we go. Um, Gambling is perceived as a harmless or low risk social activity. So if people gamble, that doesn't mean they're going to become addicted to gambling, right? Just because you might say, well, I'm gonna go to the casino or to the slot machines to play. That does not mean that you're going to become addicted. Like someone mentioned in the comments, it can be fun if you do it responsibly, right? So it's not as addicting as other substances, but it can become a problem when you lose that control. So like I said earlier, it's kind of like a hidden addiction. You don't show any physical signs that you have a problem gambling. And I apologize. I do not know why my screen is taking so long to move on to the next slide. Problem gambling affects anyone who gambles, regardless of background. But there are some risk factors to consider when people develop a problem gambling: genetics, the environment that you live in, medical history, and age. Children and teens are extremely vulnerable if they start at a young age. So if they're exposed to it, if they see it, they are more than likely to develop a gambling addiction later in life. Again, because they see it, right? It's normal for them. They don't see it as an addiction, as someone with an alcohol disorder or a drug disorder, right? I'm gonna keep repeating this. Problem gambling, there's no physical sign. You can't really tell that they're, that someone's a problem gambler. So it affects anyone. It doesn't matter if you are living in a wealthy community, poor community. It affects everyone. Here are some statistics. About 23 million of Americans are in debt from gambling. 2.1% of adolescents are addicted to gambling. And one would think that, well, adolescents are still young, right? They're like, how can they be addicted? Well, because of the accessibility, right? The ease of it. Kids can gamble now on their playing video games on their phones. Everyone, you see everyone on that has a phone. It's right there. It's right at their fingertips. So this is a little bit about the scope of gambling, of problem gambling in the U.S. The amount of money lost or won does not determine when gambling becomes problematic. 5 to 8 million U.S. adults would be considered to have mild or moderate gambling problems. So again, this is a there's a lot of people impacted by problem gambling, but because it's not viewed as a problem, it's not really talked about. So some of the numbers are, they might be bigger than what I found in my research, just because people don't, sometimes people don't report because they're the stigma, the shame. I don't want anybody to know that I have a problem gambling. Or if it's within a family, it stays within the family. Nobody else has to know that, dad, mom, or someone in the family has a problem gambling. Men are over 7 times more likely than women to develop gambling addictions. And then a family member's gambling addiction harms the entire family, not just the person who is gambling in the family. It impacts the children, it impacts everyone living in the household. And it can extend, right, to extended family members. A lot of people say or think that, well, it's just me with the problem, it's not impacting everyone else, but in reality it does, because of the financial consequences that gambling has, right? So that money that person is using to gamble can be used for groceries or for rent, or for buying necessities for the children, right? For things that are needed, versus going to spend it on gambling. So it impacts the entire family, not just the person who is gambling. So why do people gamble? Some gamble just for fun, right? They know they have self-control and they gamble for fun. They know when to stop. They have a limit, they have boundaries, so they do it just for fun. Other people do it for excitement, right? They want something to do. Others do it, I just want to win money. I have bills coming up, I have rent or the mortgage. I just want to win some money to pay these bills. Other people just gamble because they're bored, so they want something to do. Others gamble because they want to escape their problems that they have, their personal problems, so they use gambling as a distraction. And someone did mention that in the chat, a distraction. And then, like I said, some people just, I need that money to pay bills. The paycheck that I get from work, it's not enough. I need to, let me, easy money, let me see if I get lucky and I win, right? So gambling does not just have an impact financially on the person. Gambling comes with other problems, right? So people who gamble also report having an alcohol use disorder. People who gamble also have a substance use disorder or can have it. one in five individuals experiencing problems with gambling has attempted or completed suicide. So it's not just financial consequences. Some people think that, when they see that they're so much in debt because of the gambling and they see no other way out, they don't want to seek help. They resort to, well, I think it would be better if I just end my life. So it's not just the finances that are impacted. It's it's mental, it's substance use. It is impacting, and that it trickles, right? The effect trickles to the entire family. Not just the person who is gambling. Uh, People who gamble also report having like anxiety or mood swings, because if they come back from wherever they gamble and they lost money, sometimes they're not in the best mood. They start developing a substance use disorder, because if that kind of they look to alcohol or drugs, or any other substance to kind of get them away from the thought of, oh, I lost so much money at the casino. So again, it's not just gambling. It impacts, in my opinion, it impacts every aspect of their life. There's different types of gamblers. There's your recreational gambler, which is a casual social gambler. You don't gamble every day. You can live without it. If you gamble, you're good. If you don't, you're also good. It doesn't really impact you. A serious social gambler, you gamble more seriously, but you also, like, you stick to your boundaries and you stick to your limits. There's also professional gamblers, and there's also, I mean, I've seen when I'm scrolling through the TV, I don't know if they still pass it actually, but I used to see like professional poker tournaments, right? And people win a lot of money. So again, we see it on TV. People are like, well, if they're winning so much money playing poker, maybe I'll get lucky and I'll win that much money playing poker. Then you have your problem gambler. This is the person who cannot control themselves when it comes to gambling. They need it. Every free second that they have, they think of a way to gamble. They have an antisocial personality, like they want to stick to to gambling, right? And they forget that other things exist because they're so focused on the gambling. And this is when it also starts impacting the family, because they are so focused on gambling and just gambling that they start neglecting their family. They start neglecting the children, their partners. So this is when it's a problem. Signs of a problem. So if you this can apply to your personal life, if you have family members, or to your professional career. When you start seeing that a person it's lying all the time, right? It can be a sign. Chasing losses. Well, I'm gonna win. I'm going to keep playing because I'm gonna win. I already lost $10, but if I play another $10, I feel like I'm gonna win. Borrowing money. Let me just borrow, $10. And I'm going to win them back, so I'll pay you back. Being obsessed with gambling, that's all they think about. Being unable to stop gambling. Once they start, they don't have boundaries. They don't set boundaries, and they just keep going. Gambling out of need, right? Some people gamble because they need to. They need that money, and they feel like they're going to win it with gambling. So they do it. Just as a person who has a substance use disorder builds tolerance for that substance, right? They start thinking, for example, with alcohol, right? The more alcohol they drink or they consume, the happier they feel. They forget about problems. They need more. And they think, well, if I just drink more, then I'll feel happier. And they just start building that tolerance. So they need more. They need more. It's the same thing with gambling, right? Once you start and you don't have any boundaries, you don't set any limits, you start building a tolerance, right? Because you need the gambling. You can't live without it. You need more. I'm gonna gamble $5, then it's another five, and it's another five, and it's another five, and then before you know it, you've gambled away thousands of dollars sometimes. So it's just with the substance use disorder, you can see there's physical signs, right? You can tell when a person is intoxicated. With problem gambling, you really can't see until maybe they hit rock bottom and they have no other option but to seek help and to admit that they have a problem gambling. Alcohol use disorder, I kind of mentioned this a couple of slides ago. So an alcohol use disorder is the most frequently reported co-occurring disorder among people with a gambling disorder. At the casino, you see you see people drinking alcohol while they're gambling, and again, people start consuming alcohol and they start feeling happy. They start feeling like, okay, I'm going to win. They start forgetting about the problems, and so they kind of go hand in hand with problem gambling. Also, drugs, right? Kind of the same thing. And then I've seen cases where people gamble to get money to buy the drugs. So it's hand in hand. It's not just the family is not getting impacted just financially. There's other consequences to the problem gambling. So what should families be watching out for? Um, I'm going to talk about what is the impact on families and how can families begin their own recovery. So like I mentioned before, a lot of people assume that, well, it's just me with a problem, whether it's substance use or problem gambling. It's not impacting my children, it's not impacting my parents or my partner. It's just me, so I can take care of myself, but that's not the case. People with the problem gambling disorder, start having relationship problems. Relationships start to break down because of that gambling, right? Because there's lying involved. There might be stealing of money involved. So you start having relationship problems. Financial problems is the major one. A lot of problem gamblers end up going bankrupt. They declare bankruptcy because they don't see any other way out, right? They dug a hole that's so deep that they don't have another solution, either bankruptcy or suicide. Legal problems or imprisonment. Some problem gamblers have even reported that if they have the opportunity to steal from work, they either money or use the company credit card to gamble. They do it, especially the compulsive gamblers, because they don't have that self control. They don't have that boundary set up, so they're willing to do anything it takes to gamble because they feel like they need it. People have reported losing their jobs because of gambling, right? People would rather be at the slots or at the casino or gambling somewhere than go to work. And so you start losing that sense of responsibility. Like, I have responsibilities that I have to attend to. They don't see gambling as fun anymore. They see it more as like, well, that's my job. I need to go earn money by gambling. Like I mentioned, suicide or suicidal thoughts, because again, that deep hole that they dug, they don't see any other option. They don't want to seek help. They don't want to admit that they have a problem gambling, so they resort to ending their lives to get out of all this debt that they created. What are the impacts of gambling on families? There's a lot of ways gambling impacts the families, and family doesn't just refer to the children or the people living in the household or blood related family. Family is anyone that you have close ties with. Emotional ties with. So it can be, a neighbor. It can be someone, that a coworker. So it does not have to be blood related when we refer to family. There's been consistent evidence that problem gambling or problems with gambling often lead to family violence. Again, the person comes home after losing. They are not happy. They resort sometimes to violence. There's a lot of cases where domestic violence is involved with a problem gambler. Children of gambling parents are at a much higher risk of developing gambling problems than the children of non-problem gambling parents. So they see it, right? They see it. They think that it's normal. That they grew up with it, and it can be something fun. It can be something that you teach your kids as they get older. That it's something fun when you have limits and you set boundaries, and it doesn't become an addiction, right? So there it can be fun. I was having a conversation with my son yesterday, and I asked if he considers loteria. So loteria is like like Mexican bingo, because our my family in Mexico is really big on playing loteria. Um, and they play for money, right? And so I asked him if he considers that gambling, and he says no, because it's part of our culture, and like I mentioned at the beginning of the presentation, like it's part of our culture that we don't see it as gambling, but it is in a way, right? If there's no boundaries, if there's no limits, it can become a problem. People have lost houses, their homes in Mexico, because of loteria, and it's a fun game. If you've ever played loteria, it's fun. But when there's that control, when there's that limit, right? But when people start losing their homes, their vehicles because they are signing them off at the casino or gambling them off with, with a friend or whatever to win something else of greater value, then it becomes a problem. And again, it's impacting the entire family because if you gamble away your home, you're where are you going to stay? Where is your family going to stay? Homeless, right? So that's another problem that comes out of problem gambling. So these are some common problems in families that report problem gambling, that someone in their family has problem gambling. Um, the loss of money, right? The problem gambler might start stealing money that they know that they have, either in piggy banks or wherever, right? They start taking money. There's a lot of arguments. A lot of the arguments are because of finances. There's poor communication. The problem gambler doesn't really want to talk about that problem. Violence, right? Lies. The problem gambler might be lying about where they're really going. Might say, I'm going here, and instead they go to gamble, start neglecting the family and addictions within the family. I mean, how many times haven't we heard of cases of parents leaving their kids in the car while they go inside the casino to gamble? A lot of kids have lost their lives because either they leave them in a hot car with the windows closed, or it's cold outside, and the parents go into the casino to gamble for hours, forget that they have children in the car, and so again, it's a much bigger problem than sometimes we realize, when there's no limit, right? When we can't control ourselves. Financial instability. right? Sometimes as a partner or a family member who is trying to support and help the problem gambler, we might say, okay, well, here, I'll lend you money, go pay that debt that you have, or here, I'll lend you money, go, you asked for money to borrow money to go gamble, here's some money. Or I'll pay that debt for you, right? So it's sometimes we think we're doing good and we think that we're helping them, but we're jeopardizing them, right? We're not helping them set limits. We're not helping them see that it's becoming a problem because they might go gamble all their paycheck away and they know that, well, I'll just borrow money from my partner, or I'll just borrow money from my sister because she's always trying, she's always helping me, she'll never say no. So the problem continues, so there's no sense of responsibility from the problem gambler because they always have somebody to bail them out. Some signs of financial difficulties related to gambling. You start getting calls from creditors, or that person starts getting phone calls from creditors, mounting debts, right? Instead of paying any debts that you have accrued, you use that money to go gamble. You start taking out money from your credit cards, a cash advance, to go gamble. You might people might use all their savings to go gamble. I mean, there's been cases where retired people have lost all their life savings at the casino or gambling. So it's again, it takes a toll on all aspects of your life. People with a problem gambling might start getting out new loans, right? New loans to gamble, or try to, well, I'm gonna, borrow $10,000, go gamble. Hopefully I win enough to pay all my debt. And that's how they keep going. It's a cycle. Money, instead of money being used for bills, it's being used for gambling. Relationship breakdowns. Problem gamblers, again, start neglecting their families, their children. There's tension at home, there's arguments, there's shame. Sometimes a partner or a family member doesn't want to go seek help, right? Or go seek to see resources because there's that shame. Like, I don't want people to know what's going on in the house. I don't want people to know what's going on in the family. People start losing sleep over debt, over gambling, over finances. There's that emotional insecurity for everyone involved. That problem gambler is not there emotionally, not there physically. Children start having behavioral problems because that parent that they have is always out at the casino, or always out gambling. So the children really have no parent figure at home because that parent might be out gambling. I touched on this with the impact that it has on children. Children can be left unattended at home because the parents or parent chooses to go gambling. I mentioned this earlier, the kids being left in cars at the casino. There's slot machines in restaurants now, so I've seen it. I've seen like families, out eating dinner, and then both parents get up to go play the slot machines and they leave their children on the table. The children are, alone or on their phones, but the parents are away gambling, right? So again, there's a gambling opportunity everywhere, that the children are seeing it, and parents are walking away from their children to go gamble. And children start feeling neglected. There's an estimated 2.5 million children in the US that are affected by a parent's gambling addiction. whether that is neglected, emotionally neglected, kids being left homeless because the parent has gambled away their home or cannot afford to pay the rent or the mortgage because they've used that money for gambling. Children start to feel angry. Children start to realize, well, why my parents work, why don't we have money for food or to pay the rent? So they start developing that anger and that confusion. There's there might be alcohol, drugs involved with the children because they're trying just to escape their reality, right? Kids are keeping secrets to protect the gambler, right? The person gambling might tell the kids, well, don't say anything about me going to the casino, or don't tell mom or don't tell dad that I went to the slots, or I went to the gas station and I went to play the slots. Like they start developing that, like I have to lie to protect my parents. Children start feeling like it's their fault, right? Like what did I do? Like a lot of not parents or people who gamble might start blaming others. What was because of you? You gave me the bad luck, or whatever you did didn't allow me to win. So they start blaming others for their losses. There's frequent moves within the family when there's a problem gambling. People start, well, I can't pay this rent. Let me move somewhere else, or let me go somewhere else where they don't know me, and people might lend me money to continue my gambling. Kids might see money as an expression of love. So if the parent comes home with a winning, right, from gambling, and gives the child money or buys them gifts because they won, children might start seeing that, well, they do love me. They give me money, right? So they might see that as a form of love. And then kids might see other adults as role models because their parents are not home. They're out gambling, so other adults around those children might the children might be seeing them as role models instead of their parents. So why is it important to involve the family in the recovery process? There's a lot of reasons why, to bring the whole family. And I mentioned this earlier. So, who is family? That's one way of bringing that up to the client that you see or the person who has a problem gambling. Ask them, who is important to you? It can be parents, it can be the in-laws, it can be friends, it can be colleagues from work, it can be maybe like foster children, it can be it can be the alderman of the community that you live in. It doesn't have to be blood related, and it doesn't have to be family that's living in the same household. So that's if you work with people who have a problem gambling, clients that you see, and you never ask them about family or who is important to them, I suggest you do, because sometimes you'll be surprised at what they say, or you'll be surprised to hear them say, well, I don't have any family, or I don't have anybody who's important to me. And that's how you can start that conversation with them. And you can give them suggestions. Who do you hang out with? And sometimes with the people who they hang out with can be that influence that is making them gamble. So that's another way to get them to talk to you. Family members, it's really important to involve all family members in the recovery, because family members can provide that support. They can provide that encouragement to the person with the problem gambling. disorder. So they can serve as that like cheerleader, right? Like, yes, you can do it. Like, we're here to support you. Um, Family members can help the person with the problem gambling develop that confidence, that self-esteem. And they're there, right? They're the ones who are with that person most of the time. So they know more about the person. So it's, they can help the person with the problem gambling. They can help the counselor or the therapist also provide that insight on the person with the problem gambling. So what help and support is out there? Doing this research for for this presentation, I found out that a lot of people that should be screening for gambling disorder are not. Because again, there's no physical sign to this disorder that, like, doctors might say, well, this person is they don't have a problem gambling. They're fine. But actually, more people should be screening for the gambling disorder. If you work in a mental health facility, you should be screening for gambling disorder. Physicians, right? When I take my kids to the doctor for their yearly checkup, they always get forms for either them to fill out or myself, and like just personal questions, right? Doctors, that's a good place for people to get screened for problem gambling. Educators, a lot of times educators in schools aren't properly trained with what to look for. And again, problem gambling doesn't show any physical signs. So this is a hard one to kind of like, say, well, this person needs help, needs support, because there's no physical signs. But if there's some really quick screeners, some are like 2 questions, 3 questions. So they don't take long. So if more people would screen for this disorder, I think more people would, you know, it would show that a lot more people need help and support than what's actually being reported. So why screen for gambling disorder? Gambling disorder leads to financial, emotional, social, occupational, and physical harms. It can sometimes even lead to death for those that choose to end their lives because of the debt. People with gambling related problems are more likely to smoke, consume excessive amounts of caffeine, have more emergency department visits, and be obese. So again, like I mentioned earlier, gambling doesn't just impact the finances of the person, but it can impact their health. It can impact the way they, the relationships that they have with others. So it's really important for more people to screen for this disorder and to bring awareness to it, because again, no physical signs. You can't really tell when someone has a problem gambling. So this month of March is a way to bring awareness, but it shouldn't be just the month of March, right? It should be throughout the year that people talk about this. The more we talk about substance use disorders, gambling disorders, the more people will see that it's okay to seek help. It's okay to seek support, and they won't feel so alone. They won't feel that shame. And talking about it will get rid of that stigma, right? The more we talk about it, the more people know that recovery is possible. There's more people like me, right? Let's talk about what's helped you through your recovery journey. So the more we talk about it, the better it is for people who have a substance use disorder or problem gambling. Some ineffective coping strategies. So nagging is not going to work. Screaming at the problem gambler is not going to work. They're going to want to do it more. Talking down to them, making them feel like they are, they're less of a person just because they gamble, or because they have, this disorder. That's not going to help them. Don't think that because you say, well, I'm just going to go with this person who has a problem gambling, to kind of keep an eye on them and a control on them. That's not going to help them stop gambling. Obviously, giving them financial assistance is not going to help them because it's just enabling them for them to continue the gambling. Um, Asking the gambler to leave the casino or the slot machine, the venue, wherever they're gambling, asking them to leave is not going to help them stop. And providing referral information, right? Sometimes it's you have to wait for them to seek help or to ask for help for you to give that resource, right? To give that referral. Well, I know this place, or you can call this number. But if you give that to them without them seeking it, that's ineffective. What are some effective coping strategies? So educate yourself about gambling addiction, so that way you can help the person who has this problem gambling. Join a support group. There's a lot of support groups for the entire family. Talk to a professional. Take care of yourself. Don't blame yourself for that person's problem gambling, and then encourage your loved one to seek help. That's a way of helping them versus just giving them money to gamble or to pay their debt. Explain to the person the impact that their gambling is having on those around them. So no nagging, right? Just talk to them with respect, no screaming. They're more willing to listen and to understand if you talk to them in a respectful manner. Use the words that they use to talk about gambling, so that they understand you. So even though you might have done a lot of research and you have a lot of information, talk to them in their language. Break it down for them. If you're talking to them with in a language that is way over their heads, they're not going to get it. They're not going to understand what you're saying, and they're more likely to say, you know what, forget it. I don't need this help. Let yourself be open to what they have to say. Don't shut yourself out, don't shut down. Ask them an honest question. How bad do things have to get before you see this as a problem? And that makes them self-reflect, and you'll be surprised at the answers that you get. Have patience with them. Do not blame them or label them as a problem. Do not give, that's part of the shame and the stigma that comes with it when people start using other names that have a negative connotation to them to describe the person. And don't lecture them. If they see that you are just lecturing them, you are, because you know more and you know what's right, they're gonna stop listening to you. So, like someone mentioned in the comments, gambling can be fun, if you know the game, right? Make a plan. How much are you going to spend? How much are you willing to spend? How much time are you willing to spend at this gambling venue? Expect to lose. You can win, but expect to lose. A lot of times you go into the casino and it's rare when someone comes out with, millions, thousands of dollars. Never borrow money to gamble. Don't gamble money that you cannot afford to lose. If you know that money should be going to groceries or to rent, don't gamble it. Team up. Consider teaming up with a friend to help each other stick to your personal betting plan, right? Have a accountability partner. Entertainment, treat it as entertainment. It's fun. It's not my only method of income, right? It's just for fun, and I know when to stop. These are some of the screeners that I mentioned earlier. There's a few out there. Um, Then there is this, I found this, it's a book, it's an ebook, but it's a PDF and it's free. This No Dice Safety Net to Recovery has a ton of activities that you can use to work with clients that you see that have a problem gambling. There's a lot of information, there's a lot of free information. I will send you the links to all these screeners and to the No Dice Safety Net to Recovery book. I will send you the links to those in the follow-up email. If you or someone you know has a problem with gambling, there's confidential assistance that they can seek that's available 24/7. They can visit areyourreallywinning.org. They can call 1-800-GAMBLER. They can even text for help and support. So there's a lot of ways to seek help for that you can share with clients, right? That you can share with people that you know have a problem gambling. And it's confidential. They don't have to give out their personal information, their personal name. They can just seek that help that they need. The Illinois Helpline also has a lot of information on problem gambling. They have resources on our website. We have free resources on problem gambling. Um, the Illinois Council on Problem Gambling has a lot of information as well that you can use. It's free, so use it for the clients, for even family members, right? Personal in your personal lives that you feel people can use benefit from that information. That is all I have. I'm sorry I went kind of fast at the end, but since I had the muting issue at the beginning, I had to kind of speed it up a little bit. Um, does anybody have any questions? Yes, Priscilla, the CEUs will be emailed. Give me about 2 weeks or so to get them out. If not sooner, I'll work on them and I'll get them out. And you'll get a copy of these slides. You'll get a copy of the links for the screeners that you can use. Thank you so much for joining me this morning.